All right, let's go. Okay. The press in the Down Beach Current were notified of this meeting, and a copy of same was posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building and on the municipal website. The meeting will come to order. Please stand for the flag salute. Attention, salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Tom, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Becker.
Yes.
Mr. Blumberg.
Here.
Ms. Talby.
Here.
We have before us the minutes of our July 17th meetings. What is your pleasure?
I'll make a motion we approve those minutes.
And I'll second.
Mr. Becker.
Yes.
Mr. Blumberg.
Yes.
Ms. Talby.
Yes.
Before us is our executive session minutes of June 19th and July 17th for approval.
I make a motion that we approve those minutes.
Second.
Mr. Becker.
Yes.
Blumberg.
Yes.
Ms. Talby.
Yes.
Okay, we are now back at item 6A, which is the any comment on the opinion letters that we were speaking about in the previous meeting. Anyone else care to speak?
Sure. Gray Laquier, 3 Dolphin Drive, Margate. You're still not asking the right questions. It is somewhat undisputed that the state can and most likely will erect this boondoggle of a project. The questions that should be asked are, one, what is Margate's responsibility for maintaining that project? That is, can the city be dragooned into entering into a contract to maintain these unwanted dunes on the state's behalf? Legal spoiler alert, it cannot. And if not, then two, what, if any, are the legal ramifications of Margate simply allowing the dunes to diminish and dissolve after they are installed, or, more to the point, purposely destroying them subsequent to their completion? The point is, although the odds of winning this lawsuit may, as cited, be slim, the odds of winning are zero if we don't fight. I say we fight. Drag it out in the courts and try it in the press until Fat Boy is out of office and the state loses interest in us. Now, if you're looking for the means by which to fund the legal fees of fighting the state and Jabba the Christie against its Putin-esque land grab of our beaches, I'd be happy to come down to City Hall and go over your books to find some places where we could trim the fat. A few suggestions just off the top of my head would be, 1, close the useless Margate Library for a year. The savings on 1 year's salary for the head librarian and his assistant alone would foot the legal team's bill. You can also sell off the municipal vehicle assigned to the library, or at least explain why the library needs its own municipal vehicle. Are they delivering books door to door now during its busy 2 months of increased summer activity? 2, sell off all the dune buggies and go-karts and motorbikes and whatever else the lifeguards zoom around it on the beach, and have them go back to running between beaches as it may be necessary on foot. This will also save on gasoline, oil, maintenance fees, and have the added benefit of keeping our lifeguards fit and in shape. 3, fire all the mayor's relatives from the city jobs in which he's nepotistically installed them. That should do the trick. Plus, there'd be money left over for the nice pizza party for the entire city to boot every week. 4, reduce the outrageous salaries of our city officials. They earn more than anyone else doing similar jobs in the region, and for the life of me, I can't understand why. Either way, if you don't prevent this thing from happening, I can personally guarantee you that you stand to lose more than those projected $200,000 in legal fees when I file on behalf of every beach block resident currently paying 4, 5, or as much as 8 times the taxes as the residents in the middle of the island, a class action tax appeal that will reflect the vastly reduced value the city's tax assessor seems to place in the privilege of living so close to the beach. Maybe that will be incentive enough for you all to at least try to stop this thing, but we'll see. I do wish we had a mayor who, well, I wish we had a mayor. One with an imposing, intelligent demeanor and the backbone and balls required to fight our gelatinous governor in terms he'd understand. It's a pity we don't have Vaughn Reel in a position to do the job, because he'd be great. But I suppose we must work with what we have. I hope, though, when this battle is lost and our beaches are destroyed forever, the electorate in this room will remember who is responsible and vote accordingly at the next election. Oh, fuck it.
Anyone else?
Dan Gottlieb, 407 North Nassau. Mr. Abbott was quick to point out that MCQBP had some input in the hiring of Mr. Goldshore. I want to go back and remind, for the record and for the people in this room, a couple of things. One is I think it was on early April, Mr. Reel came in here, former Mayor Reel. He asked Mr. Abbott, do you have a private law practice in Margate? Mr. Abbott said yes. He said, Mr. Abbott, in that private law practice, do you represent real estate clients? Mr. Abbott said yes. He said, Mr. Abbott, in your practice of representing those real estate clients, do you ever need to go to the New Jersey DEP for permits or approvals from the New Jersey DEP for those real estate clients? Mr. Abbott said yes. Mr. Reel said, Mr. Abbott, I believe you are clearly conflicted. So I will remind the audience and the record of that. So Mr. Abbott put together the questions to ask the two lawyers that we were seeking legal opinions from. Many of those questions we knew the answer to. I'll give you an example. One of the questions was, in Executive Order 140, Section 4, does it allow for the state, and maybe it wasn't Section 4, but it was in Executive Order 140, does it allow for the state to exercise eminent domain? Well, of course it does. We knew it did. We expected that. So those were the types of questions. The questions I think that should have been asked of the two lawyers was, what do we need to do as a community and as a board of commissions to win this thing, to stall it, and to keep it off our beaches? Not, do they have the right to eminent domain our property? Because we knew that. I'm going to excerpt a couple of pieces from the legal opinion, just like a former speaker did. This is from Louis Goldshore, who, yes, Margate citizens questioning the beach block suggested to the commission that they get an opinion from him. He said, the third gubernatorial proclamation, Executive Order 140, dated September 25th, 2013, some 11 months following Superstorm Sandy, is of particular relevance to the current situation. The governor's invocation of emergency powers long after the conclusion of the Sandy-related emergency is both curious and legally questionable. He goes on to say, following a lengthy preamble, Executive Order 140 contained 4 operative sections. 2 of the sections are not controversial. Section 1 created an Office of Flood Hazard Reduction Measures, the office in the DEP, and Section 3 authorized it to seek and obtain cooperation from other state agencies. According to the Acting Attorney General, February 26, 2014, Ordinance 2001-14 conflicts with Executive Order 140, and the city is otherwise preempted from enforcing its provisions. While an executive order issued during an actual emergency might effectuate the temporary suspension of a validly enacted local law, it seems like a stretch for an executive order issued 11 months following an emergency to permanently repeal such local enactments. The state is relying on the Corps, DEP, coastal engineers, and perhaps other consultants in support of the project design. The predominant theme has been that a generally continuous wall of high dunes from Sandy Hook to Cape May is essential to protect the shore from recurrent Sandy-like damages. It has been claimed that arbitrary breaks in the continuity of the dune system would serve as a conduit for floodwaters and threaten serious harm. But it appears that there have been some exceptions to this lockstep approach. For example, in Wildwood, it has been claimed that the current structures in the city, consisting of some bulkheads and some dunes, provided substantial protection for the beachfront, and that approximately 90% of the Sandy-related damage in the municipality was along the bayfront. Additionally, it has been asserted that the absence of high dunes in the city does not result in any increase in the threat potential to adjacent municipalities. The problem with these claims is the absence of technical support. If the city is serious, and the word I emphasize is serious, about challenging the project, it needs to immediately retain credible coastal engineering experts who can seriously question the Corps and the state's assumptions. We have not done that. Why, I don't know. Mr. Goldshore says to. Additionally, the city would need to authorize a searching review of the procedural aspect of the Corps and state's processes. The issue of retaliation by the state government against a municipality that seeks in good faith to protect its residents is a sensitive subject, particularly in the current political climate. While anything is possible, any retaliatory action would be subject to various forms of challenge. And then we all know how he ended it. The likelihood of success is a difficult issue to assess. While I'm hopeful the city will be able to raise serious legal and factual issues in the litigation, that is not a case that should be brought because there is a high expectation the city will prevail. The reason why the case should be brought is because it is the right thing to do, and the state is acting in a cavalier manner in light of the reasonable concerns and issues that have been raised by the project opponents. I will conclude. There are more lines like this inside Mr. Yoskin's document that I've also highlighted. But I will conclude with this.
Thank you.
No, I will conclude with a question, if that's okay. The question is this. Mr. Blumberg, you have been very outspoken about your opinion on this project. You have stood with the voters. Thank you for issuing your opinion. Commissioner Tarby, you have not said a word today. I think you should express your opinion and how you feel about defending the city and defending its voters with a lawsuit. And Mayor Becker, I'm not sure where you are with this. You have not issued your thoughts today, and I think with everything you've heard today from a pretty large number of people, I think it's important that you and Commissioner Tarby tell this crowd, tell the current, and tell for the record what you feel about defending the city and defending the voters. I'd like to hear that today if possible. Thank you.
Mayor, may I make one brief comment?
Yeah, you may. I would like to
I'd like to make one comment, Dan, because again, you've brought this up. I consider it a personal attack on me. If the test is, I do represent people against the DEP. I've often represented people against the DEP, primarily riparian claims where the state claims a piece of their property, and I have been fighting the state for 30 years. If the test were that I have a conflict because I represent people against the DEP, then both Mr. Goldshore and Mr. Yoskin would also be knocked out because they too have represented entities and people against the DEP. Mr. Yoskin famously beat the DEP on behalf of the city of Avalon, the borough of Avalon, in their lawsuit against public access down Avalon. Mr. Goldshore has fought with the state entities for years. No, I think that my experience in battling with the DEP is an asset that I've utilized. As far as slanting questions, I ask those gentlemen, among their very wide scope of review, to consider certain aspects. One of the big ones that I am most worried about as city solicitor is the fact that the city of Margate receives discretionary funding from the state of New Jersey on an average of $800,000 to $1.5 million every year. There is an executive order forbidding us to oppose this shore protection program. So my question was, if Margate opposes and violates this executive order, will that impact our discretionary funding that we receive from the state of New Jersey? Now, I'm not advocating for sand dunes. I'm just pointing it out. When you say, well, there's no downside if we fight them, why not fight them? Oh, yes, there is. We also have a grant pending now for millions of dollars for bulkheading on the bay side through the DEP. Let's not forget that either. So, guys, anytime, and I consider most of you friends, anytime you want to have an intelligent discussion and not get into some personal kidney-punching fight, I'll be happy to reveal what I know to you. And again, I told you from the beginning, I voted against the dunes. My wife does not want them, and I'm happily married. But the fact of the matter is, it's a tough, tough fight for us. And we do have a downside. And we have to remember, the other three communities on this island want the shore protection. That's a big factor. You go to Ventnor now. What did Mr. Goldshore and Mr. Yoskin say? Both of them said, you've got to find an expert that will say those sand dunes didn't do anything. Well, here's the biggest problem we have. If you go up and look at Ventnor's pictures after Hurricane Sandy, there is zero damage on their beach block. There is none.
There wouldn't have been any either if we had to fire the city.
Mr. Adams has the floor.
I don't know that I can accept that because within about 20 minutes, that sand washed away. I watched it wash away. It was gone within a half an hour.
All right.
But anyhow, Mayor, I just felt that
thank you.
some semblance of truth has got to get out there too.
All right.
respond.
No, you can respond in time. I want to,
Yosky and
listen,
Gulf Shore are not city solicitors. Thank you.
this is a very critical issue. We all agree on that, okay? It's, this personal attacks have got to stop, okay?
I was pointing out the onset.
Okay.
Oh, so you didn't
not-
say it then?
It is not, and, all right, okay, and we'll clear that up right after I fire my 3 relatives, okay, including the mayor's wife, that's okay, sir, go ahead.
Arthur Babian again, 9619 Pacific Avenue. I got up because after the first speaker's comment about the only useful advice he said is, yes, the people have a right to bring their own lawsuits. Now, me, I don't like lawyers, so let me put that off. I would think that we're talking, a gentleman mentioned 2 reports. Picking or cherry picking 2 reports to me doesn't mean too much. If you want to go ahead with the lawsuit, if you can't even convince the other people, communities on the island, to go along or at least tacitly support you, I don't see the point in going ahead. Second, if you can't afford to bring about technical reports to refute whatever the Army Corps of Engineers wants to propose or whatever, I don't even know if they have other secondary plans or not. I'm sure there are colleges, if there's evidence present, who have reports which will support you. But just arguing that a majority of the people voted against the dunes, I don't think the majority also said go ahead and spend whatever money you want uselessly. The comments that people make saying we're a democracy, well, we elect commissioners to make some decisions. Everything doesn't go in front of the public. People feel strongly enough about it, fine. I personally think it's a waste of money, but then Margate has spent a lot of money, in my opinion, foolishly also. So if this passes and you decide to fight it, I'm not going to move out of the city. I just think it's a waste of time and effort if you can't even get the other communities on the island to support it. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kathy Heitzman. I live at 15 South Washington Avenue. I've been a resident of Margate.
Speak into the microphone, please.
Okay. I've been a resident of Margate
Ma'am,
for 9 years.
This way. Okay.
Like that?
Would you face this way, please? No, just face this way.
Okay. But you can hear me now? You can hear me now? All right, I feel like I'm on the cell phone. I've been a resident of Margate for 9 years, lived on 15 South Washington Avenue. This past November, the house next to me had sold, and I was at the planning board meeting to listen to all of the different comments that were made about this. When they demolished this house in December, they took a fence that I had and left poles up and said that that was not my property. That was the beginning of my nightmare. And what has happened since then, there have been no fences separating the property, which I believed was a law. I have found all kinds of debris in my driveway. This is just some of the debris that comes in my driveway and stays there unless I clean it up. My cell phone has documented all of these pictures. Last Sunday they worked. July 27th, last Sunday. I called the police and asked them very nicely, can people work on Sunday? And they said no. The policeman came. He went upstairs, and I'd like to know what happened. When I approached the contractor, in fact, I was talking to him tonight, he knew nothing of it. Oh, those were not my people. And I'm asking you, who do I go to for help? I have insulation, pieces of this. Okay. Many, many pieces of insulation have I picked up.
Can I interrupt?
Yes. What can I do?
Before you leave, would you leave me your name and your telephone number? And I will get somebody to come and look at that tomorrow.
I have spoken to Jim Galantino and left messages for him 3 times. I spoke with the gentleman Frank this morning, your supervisor of public works. Okay. I have spoken with Brett Fisher, the contractor, many times. I have spoken with now the lawyer that I'm supposed to deal with for the owner of the property. Can you please tell me who is responsible? If you go down Washington Avenue today, you will see an orange fence next to this in front of this building where they're changing the plumbing. Last night, there was no fence. If I had gone to Ventura's and had 3 lovely glasses of wine and did not know this street, I would have fallen in a 3-foot hole.
Okay. Would you do
I
that?
don't want a suit. I want to keep these legs.
Okay.
I called the policeman and...
Leave me your name, please, and how I
will.
can get in touch with you tomorrow. Okay? I will take care of that.
So, who is responsible, though, for all of these things?
They share responsibility, the builder and code enforcement.
So, you're responsible because you're not following the codes? This man isn't following the codes, and so if you don't catch him, in theory, then you're responsible? I have little grandchildren coming next
Yes.
week. I don't want them stepping on these rusty blades
Nor
and
do I,
nails.
ma'am. Nor do I. That is my department. I'm in charge of construction official and all that. I'll take care of it. Okay?
All right.
I promise.
Stephen Altman, 9003 Amherst Avenue, Margate. There have been a lot of discussions about being in favor or against the dunes. I actually am rising right now to object to this gentleman. I think he's an attorney who spoke first. To attack our library, to attack our public the beach patrol and their equipment, and to attack the mayor and the city solicitor. I object to those comments in their in his presentation. One of the finest things we have in Margate is our library, and we have a very safe beach patrol. Public service is what a community is all about. These personal attacks are unnecessary. I recognize that Mrs. Talby and Mr. Becker have not publicly given their positions on the subject of the sand dunes. They're gathering information. I personally don't care one way or the other whether we have sand dunes or not. I've lived in communities in the beach that have sand dunes, and I enjoyed them. I've lived in communities where they haven't had sand dunes, and it's been fine. I know that our biggest problem is not having bulkheads on the bay side. And like our solicitor, our concern for that, I think, is more important than anything else. Now, it's not going to take a lot of money to file an injunction in a federal court and get this heard on the federal level. It's not a big deal to get an injunction from a judge to stop this. And then if you guys in the community want to collect money, as the Margate Concerned Citizens did, to their credit, not that I find much credit in $2 million for tennis courts, but in the past they've been a credit, they can go ahead and fight this in the courts and get a judicial decision as to whether we have to do this or we don't. But all of this angst and recriminations about personalities and institutions that we have in Margate, which makes this community really something special, I think is reprehensible. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
My name is Annette Schultz. I live on
Could you speak
Osborne.
into the microphone, please?
I'm Annette Schultz. I live on Osborne, the beach block. I don't know why I'm here, because I thought this was all voted on, and all the repeating of the issues which are, and I am against the dunes. When I look blocks back, and when I walk on the boardwalk in Atlantic City or Ventnor, and you don't see the ocean, I think it's pathetic. And it has not been proven that the dunes will keep a master hurricane from doing damage. I want to add another problem I find with the dunes. I walk the beach at night. I can walk at 7 o'clock. I love to walk along the ocean's edge. If those dunes are erected, no one's going to see me, and I can't see ahead, and I think that's a risk factor. Number two, our property, we pay a lot of taxes for the beachfront. Beach block, I'm sorry. Now, are you going to go buy a house on the beach block and pay a premium when you can't even see anything? Or even back north when they can't see anything? And I will tell you, if that goes to fruition, if that becomes a problem, we're going to file for a tax reduction because our value, I'm sure, will decrease. Those are my ideas. My final comment is, it was voted against the dunes. So why is this continuing? Why is this argument going on? I don't get it. I just wish you would stand for the majority of people that voted against and fight for it. I thank you for the time.
In regard to Solicitor Abbott's comments,
Your name and address, please.
oh, I forgot, wait a minute. Sharon Simon, 424 North Thurlow Avenue. I just want to point out that both the attorneys' opinions came back stating, in different words, that they don't see that there would be any reduction or consequences. I don't have to read it, I'm good. Consequences as a result of our filing. So that's two attorneys that said that. So you may think that, but you know, and that's kind of a scare tactic for people. I'm not saying you did it to scare them. I think you were being, excuse me, it's my time to speak, Solicitor Abbott. I think people are concerned about that. I think it was a valid point. And I think that now that we have two legal opinions that's saying that is not something that we need to worry about, I think that argument is over. Now, maybe you could find an attorney that says it, but you hired two attorneys. They said they don't see that happening. Okay, so as far as this fighting or not fighting, Mayor Becker, on February 26th, you got a letter from the State Attorney General. He told us that the executive order superseded our ordinance. He said, I hope this letter addresses your satisfaction on any remaining concerns about easements and to the state and cooperating with final design of stormwater discharge measures on portions of Margate's beaches by instructing Margate's municipal engineer to provide information that will be beneficial to Margate after the project is constructed. We would be happy to discuss any additional questions you may have, but please contact us with all due haste, as we cannot afford... I'll wait till you're finished so you can hear it.
Is that correct?
You done whispering? Cannot afford continued delay. I look forward to your response and am optimistic that we can work together to protect the citizens of Margate and New Jersey. February 26th. You sent our engineer up there. You didn't respond. We all came in here, said the same things that have been said, and you did nothing. I would assume that our solicitor advised you on the implications of this letter, and that you made a decision, I would hope or think, at least taking into account his advice. You did nothing. You already chose not to fight. And not only did you choose not to fight, But by doing what you did, you told them, come on in. Red light to them, green light to them, red light to me. As far as costs...
May I see that?
No, you have a copy of it.
Okay.
As far as costs, like I'm making it up. As far as costs, and I don't know why we're just speaking to you, because we only need 2 votes to move forward. And we know we have Commissioner Blumberg. Commissioner Tobey has as much responsibility as you do to support the will of the people. And she has said over and over again, I know she feels dunes are the right thing, but she said over and over again, she will support the will of the people. And the will of the people is to fight. As far as not asking people if they want to spend all the money, I just want to read this quickly. This is Commissioner Tobey questions need for 5-ton vehicles. Truth of the matter is, the size of the vehicles really hit me after seeing them parked next to Fire Station number 2. These very large military-type vehicles just seem out of place and a bit unnecessary to me. These are emergency vehicles that saved lives during the storm. Quote, I'm very concerned about the real need for them, the expense and maintaining and owning them, where to store them, and the damage they can do to our streets, Tobey said. These factors should have been considered before accepting them. In the future, quote, in the future, before accepting a donation or something for free, let's pause and learn what the operational costs are of the gift, since it affects our annual budget. I think we should be provided with the yearly maintenance and operation costs and then vote on accepting the gift, Tobey said. Do you feel the same way about the Dune project? That we should figure out the costs, or we should just take it for free? The last thing I want to say, and I want to point this out to Steve Warner. Everybody else got to speak. Don't try to stop me now. Resolution 167, award a professional services contract to David Rapawana, not to exceed $98,000. That's on top of $135,000 of legal fees for a whistleblower suit against the city clerk. My guess is if you ask the voters, if you ask the concerned citizens group, do you want to spend that much on a whistleblower suit that could have been settled at the beginning, that our joint insurance fund would have settled and paid for, and now it's on the back of the taxpayers, plus a settlement that can be at least $500,000 because you have continued to retaliate against him? So don't cry to me, don't cry to us, that the people should have a vote on whether they want to spend money on dunes when you're wasting our tax money on political retaliation. Thank you.
Sewell, 22 West Drive. Might I remind our solicitor of the famous words of Harry S. Truman, if you can't take the heat, get out of the kitchen. This is the rough and tumble of politics. And I can only tell the mayor and his cohort and co-defendant that if they continue to be wishy-washy, mamby-pamby, and milquetoast on this dune issue, there's somebody just off the parkway that is salivating at your gross stupidity, because he's going to be able to be elected mayor not spending a nickel of his own money. And also to refresh the solicitor's recollection of the situation in Ventnor and its dunes, I too took careful note of the damage that was inflicted by the dunes on the beach block. And I can assure you they had several feet of water which invaded their properties and caused extensive damage, more so than the sand that might have filtered over the bulkhead. And let us not forget the Army Corps of Engineers, Mayor, who will readily acknowledge those dunes hold up for no more than 45 minutes in a good storm. And a good storm like the storm of 1962, that nor'easter, lasted for 3 long days. And I can recall vividly in Ocean City looking at that boardwalk, and it looked like a pretzel the way it was twisted. I don't think the dunes are worth diddly squat. All the dunes do is pay for a massive pork barrel project for the dredging firms. This is corruption on a mammoth scale. Mayor, if you ever bothered to lift up a newspaper or read a book, you might learn a little bit, even at this late stage of the game. That the boondoggles that the Corps of Army Engineers has inflicted upon the U.S. taxpayers, billions upon billions of dollars just in the Everglades alone, not to mention the tomfoolery along the Mississippi River that they've inflicted damage upon us, an enormous cost. They're far from experts, Counselor. They are part and parcel of the corruption in Washington, D.C. And I don't think we should partake of that corruption. And I think we should say thanks, but no thanks, to that so-called gift that they're willing to give us. And as long as I live and breathe, Counselor, eminent domain is a scourge upon the right of property owners. We fought a revolution to protect property rights. And if you're going to be so cavalier as to say they don't matter, well, wait till they take your property someday. Wait till they take your little private beach. You might sing a different tune. But for the time being, let's lawyer up. Let's man up, Mayor, for a change. Don't sit there vacillating, procrastinating. It's shameful. It's shameful. Show a little intestinal fortitude. Show a little bit of spinal courage for a change. Lawyer up today. And I'm sure they won't cost as much as that $155,000, and now today another $98,000. And I still want to know, Mayor, who's getting the referral fee out of those sums? Mayor, you didn't answer that question last time, and I'm afraid you're not going to answer it this time because it might embarrass you as well as other people. But Mayor, trust me, as I live and breathe, I want to know. Thank you, Mayor.
All right. Thank you, John. You sit down.
If you have any further remarks, Mayor, I'll be glad to take them on one for one, mano a mano.
Not to you, John.
Although I feel it's bad to have a battle of wits with the unarmed, I'll lower my standards to chat with you, Mayor.
Now that we've talked about my family, I've been called disingenuous. Sit down, John. It has nothing to do with you. I know.
You're quite sure?
I'm positive.
I'll have comment if there is any.
You aren't like this. Okay. Commissioner Blumberg, I would just want you to know you're going to uphold the will of the people, and you called me disingenuous, and I'd like to read something that you...
Wait. I did not call you disingenuous.
Well, whatever.
I spoke of the remarks that you made. No. There's a big difference there, Mike.
Fine.
A big difference. The remarks that you made, I said were disingenuous. Don't make this personal. It's not personal.
You made it
It was related to the comments that you made. Just for the record.
Well, I'm going to make it personal.
I don't know. I didn't close public participation. Maybe the mayor did.
Well, it's not closed. I wanted to make a comment. Go ahead. So I'll wait.
Stephen Earlbaum, 114 South Barclay. I have a question. What does anyone here know what the town's revenue is in property taxes? What the total revenue is for property tax?
The rateables?
No.
The rateables are
What the total dollars are that the town collects for real estate taxes?
Tom, you would, 21 million, I think? 21 million.
21 million. And do you have any idea what the taxes are for beach block? What percentage of that 21 million?
I would have no idea, Ms. Palmer.
I would have to, it could be checked, I don't know.
We can
right now.
we'll be happy to find out for you if you'd like.
Anybody care to take a guess?
I'm sure, do you have the answer?
No, I'm asking
I have
a
no
question.
idea. I would have no idea.
Okay, so they're extraordinarily high. There's people paying $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 for their property taxes. You're aware of that, correct? And people that live closer to the bay, probably their taxes are less. What would you think they are?
Except for Bayfront, yes.
Except for Bayfront?
Bayfront, yes.
Yeah, well, and how much would they be?
5,000 or 6,000.
5,000 or 6,000. So there's a big difference. And I would venture to say that the great majority of people living on that beach block are not New Jersey residents. Would you agree with that? So there's taxation without representation, is that correct? When that two-thirds vote came in of those who didn't want the dunes versus who did, these people that I'm speaking about in Beach Block, they were not included. Is that correct?
Correct.
So it's really a lot more than what's being represented, correct? So the majority is a lot more than what we're saying it is. So it's time, like I said before, it's time tomorrow they could award a contract. We have no idea. So what are we waiting for? Why are we waiting to create a lawsuit and file now against this before it's too late? You know, I want to know, do we have your support, Mayor? Are you representing the people like you agreed to?
I certainly am, sir.
So you're against it, and you're willing to fight it?
I have fought since the referendum. I have been to Trenton. I have been to many meetings. I have been in communication. I think obviously everybody but the people of Margate know where I stand. The people in Trenton know where I stand. The governor knows where I stand. The Corps of Engineers knows where I stand. I have said that I would uphold the rule of the people, and at the same time that I said that over a year ago, I also said that the one thing I would have a problem with is spending a lot of money to fight the
What's a lot of money?
I don't know. I haven't really determined that yet. I really don't. No.
Well, we can't do anything when it's too late.
I agree with you.
We have to do something now.
So what I would like to discuss, and maybe now is the time to discuss it, is whether or not Mike and Brenda agree that we should take the next step, which would be to hire an attorney to file an injunction. And do you guys agree with that?
Do we all agree on that?
I have already spoken to Mr. Deeney, Mr. Abbott, about getting proposals from attorneys.
It'll be too late.
No, well, and what attorney would you suggest we hire?
One for $30,000.
We need...
Get me some names of some attorney. We have Mr. Goldshore, who obviously you people don't think is a good fit because he's a single practice attorney.
No, we just thought he'd be good for it.
Okay. How about Mr. Yaskin? Get some names by Monday. Okay.
Time is, the clock is ticking. We need to do something now. We need to file now. We can't wait to hire an attorney. We'll call an attorney, and then we'll get a couple of proposals. And then it'll be too late.
I think we're saying the same thing. Get names of some attorneys who can file an injunction and do this and carry through with this.
Any of the lawyers, why can't they file an injunction
Okay,
now?
so Solicitor Abbott recommended that maybe Yaskin is the firm to file the injunction. The idea is we will find a firm that it sounds like, if I'm hearing correctly, the mayor has agreed that our next step is to file an injunction whether we file it in state court, in federal court, we will figure that out. As long as the mayor agrees, and Commissioner Talby, I hope, agrees. Commissioner Talby, do you agree?
Silence speaks volumes.
No.
Okay, so Commissioner Talby is not willing to fight. For the record, she's not willing to fight. I don't...
It's not a fair statement.
Okay, Commissioner Talby, are you willing to fight for the people of Margate on this issue? And what is your thinking? Because I don't know.
Lori, I haven't spoken all evening, so let me have the floor for a few minutes without...
Please, I'm begging you.
Okay. My first term in office, and Hurricane Sandy hits us, and the dunes issue hits us. I'm concerned about public safety, number one, and fiscal accountability, number two. Science says the sea level is rising and the storm surges are increasing. I stuck my neck out in the very beginning, and based on all the research, I think I probably spoke with the Army Corps and the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection more than anybody up here in the beginning, because that's just what I do. I have to have all the answers, and I felt like Margate was safer with than without. And if you fault me for that, I'm sorry, but that's honestly how I feel. The vote came back 65% no to the dunes. But it didn't say...
Probably 75 or 80%.
The 65% didn't say that they wanted to spend money to fight the state. Dan Gottlieb is my neighbor. About a month ago, he came over and he talked to me, and he wanted to know if I would go so far as to vote yes to approve, to retain 2 attorneys for an outside independent review. I did that. Both those attorneys and our solicitor are informing us that our chances of winning this are slim. I can't spend taxpayers' money to fight this. It's just, I'm not comfortable with that. About a month ago, I brought up the possibility of having another referendum. I mean, if 65% of the people come to us and say, I want to spend $500,000 or whatever it's going to cost to fight the dunes, and I'm okay with that, then I would be okay with that. But I'm not okay with spending their money to fight a battle that I don't think we're going to win. I also think that a judge, a state attorney, would have to just go to the judge and point to a picture of a Ferris wheel in the water and say, look, this is all we're trying to do for Margate is prevent this from happening. We're trying to safeguard Margate. I think when you prove that to try to prove that they're acting in any corrupt way is going to be very, very difficult, because their heart's in the right place. They're trying to help Margate, and they want to do it all up and down the coast. My answer is no.
Let me ask you a question. You said you didn't want to spend the money for the lawsuit. How are you going to feel when taxes are reduced $3-5 million because our properties are worth quite a bit less?
I think the project's saving your
We shouldn't debate that here, because we could debate that. I don't want to get into that, I promise.
Okay, but 2 out of 3 of you agree that we're ready to go ahead and file an injunction, is that correct?
I will support that, absolutely.
Yeah.
You'll get us a couple names. Keep your people happy.
Isn't that your job?
Pardon me?
Isn't that your job?
Is that? Well, you guys want to get involved.
No, we need to do it now. We can't wait to get proposals from a lawyer.
Mr. I'm little upset about Mr. Goldshore, because Mr. Goldshore had already spoken to the citizens group against the dunes, and they put his name up through Mr. Blumberg, knowing what his position was. He had to know that. We had that for nothing. That cost us $5,000.
Well, I think that's a small pittance, and based on what we stand to lose if we don't fight this battle.
I will work with Solicitor Abbott and Mr. Deeney to try and identify an attorney, and we will hope to get this injunction filed, I would say next week. My goal will be to make it happen for us next week.
That would be great. Thank you.
Yeah. Now that you've grandstanded, is the attorney in your department?
Now you can, the attorney works for all three of us. Last time I checked, Mike.
One more thing.
And I didn't consider it a grandstand.
Mr. Rubin over here presented the Army Corps of Engineers report that he obtained on the internet that said the best way to fight this is with the bulkheads. I would really suggest that everyone take a look at that. I think it's an important document.
Arthur Babian, 9619 Pacific Avenue, Margate City, New Jersey. If you're going to hire anybody, I would appreciate the public know about how much you're committed rather than doing an open-ended procedure which just gets on escalating without any citizen feedback. That's all I have to say.
And I appreciate that. We're in one of those right now, and I'd like to try and avoid that best we can.
Well, I like to avoid spending as much money wastefully as possible. If you want to go ahead and try
I think we're all in agreement
at least
there.
put some limits on it.
Absolutely. There will be a cap on any legal expenses. Okay. And Mr. Warner?
Steve Warner, 103 North Sumner. I was going to suggest earlier that if the citizens group filed the injunction, then we wouldn't have to worry about the state possibly retaliating against us for all this monies that, the grant monies that they have given us or possibly will give us, and I think that that's what I was going to suggest, and I still think that it's a good idea for the citizens group to file the injunction. It's not that big of a deal, as I said before, not going to cost that much money, but how it's perceived, and really I don't think it's going to make any difference how the case is going to be decided either. I really don't. And but the city might be perceived as maybe we're going to retaliate against the city, whereas if it's a citizens group, we won't retaliate against the city. Possibly, I would consider that. And I think you're going to get the same result. As I said several meetings ago, if there is going to be any relief, it's going to be in probably the United States Supreme Court, okay? You're certainly not going to get it in the state courts. I wish you a lot of luck. I wish you a lot of luck. And I don't want this to come back on Margate, okay? Not at all. And I also do want to say that as far as Ventnor goes, I work in other communities here, and after the storm, I worked in the beginning of Ventnor, like Swarthmore Avenue, Baltimore Avenue, the first 5 or 6 streets, and they were flooded, the beach block streets, because the water, because there was no dunes in Margate, okay? And the water went in Margate, and it went in down in Swarthmore Avenue, Baltimore Avenue. I can show you the houses if you wanted to see them, Maury. And I talked to, former Commissioner Vespertino, and he said, but other than the beginning of Ventnor, we had no water at all in the beach block, okay? Now, we had a hell of a lot of water in the bay, but we had no water in the beach block except in the first few blocks where it went around, it came from Margate. Now, I think down the road, if we don't have dunes, Margate could possibly be subject to some lawsuits because of that, but that's just my thinking. And I don't know, I had something else I wanted to say too, but I forget what it is. Well, I said enough today. Always tomorrow. There's always tomorrow. There's always next meeting.
All right. Thank you. Okay. Is there a motion to close? Never mind.
Adam DiBartolo, 413 North Claremont. Just one or two other points. I'm really not going to talk about this dune issue. I think everything's been said that can be said about it. We're hearing a small, and I think you guys always hear, a very small group of citizens from Margate that are very outspoken about this issue. I think there's a lot of people that, unfortunately, like myself, that typically can't make a 5 o'clock meeting. I know it's getting on 7 o'clock now. Our previous commission used to have these meetings in the evening, and I think they were better attended, several years ago when I first moved to Margate. And I'm hearing no over there. But, for working people, getting to a 5 o'clock meeting on a monthly or bi-monthly basis is actually difficult. So, for important issues like this, I think it's important that, maybe we would try to make it more accessible to people. And I don't know how other ways we could do that, but another unrelated, completely unrelated, because I'm sure you guys would love to hear something unrelated. I do back up, I live on Claremont Avenue, and I back up to the section of Clarendon Avenue that is sort of the grass road going through. When I first moved into that neighborhood, that road was maintained regularly by the city. Basically, there's outbuildings along that road for several other people that have the two lots where it backs up to the marsh. That has kind of not been taken care of now for a lot of years, and there's a lot of trees and such growing in. When I first moved in, I was told that that stretch of Clarendon had to be maintained for fire access, and I just wanted to make note that it is not being maintained at all, and there's no way in hell you get a fire truck down that street anymore. And I don't know if that's something that it was supposed to be maintained, but there is a lot of sheds and property on that back section, so it might be something you want to look into and talk to your fire officials on. Thank you.
Tell them.
Wouldn't that be Wilson and DeRosa?
No, that would be Frank, wouldn't it be? We'll take care of that for you, okay? And is there a motion to close public comment?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Becker? Yes. Blumberg?
Yes.
Talby?
Yes.
Okay. Is there any public comment on resolutions and ordinances? Can we talk about...
22 West Drive. Mayor, your undivided attention to resolution number 167. We just heard your cohort, co-defendant, and co-conspirator worrying about spending money on legal fees. These seem rather steep, especially in light of the $155,000 we've already put out. I didn't see any hand-wringing when this money is being so easily dispensed. If I sort of recall from reading those opinions, there was one figure stated there, 30 grand. Heck, I think our village idiot would do for 1/3 of that. So I just feel that this is, a tempest in a teapot. Go up to Camden, the federal district court, file an injunction. This isn't, Einstein or brain surgery or rocket science. This is straightforward stuff. And I'm sure it wouldn't cost 98 grand as 167 is going to cost us, Commissioner Talby, or the 155,000 that preceded it. I don't see any justification from you for these excessive legal expenditures, and now when we're talking about a measly 30 grand, all of a sudden you want to protect the public. Where were you on these other two resolutions? Now the mayor has a good excuse. You don't. You don't have a good excuse. And to tell us today that you're worried about spending our money after you've been throwing it away, it seems rather hypocritical. Wouldn't you agree, Commissioner Talby? I know the mayor can't answer anything because of his particular predicaments of life, but perhaps you can. You're a little younger. Your brain functions a little better. Can you explain the hypocrisy here in resolution number 167, Commissioner Talby?
15 seconds, John.
Well, I'll use it. Keep asking Ms. Talby why she wants to squander our tax dollars on something that could have been settled from the get-go at a fraction of the cost. Where we're at 155 plus 98, we're only a few grand short of the sweet spot from day one. Wouldn't you agree, city solicitor? He too is mum, but he's got the mayor's excuse. But you don't, Commissioner Talby. And I'm telling you, there's a lot of hypocrisy here.
Thank you, John.
Enough said, Mayor. Mother Joe.
Oh, boy.
Sharon Simon, 424 North Thurlow Avenue. I still live there from earlier today. And I'm commenting on 167. And I just want you to know that, like Steve Warner, I may consider something that you suggest. I guess he has to consider it if it comes to be. He'd be willing to consider that. I didn't know he was on the commission. Anyway, Commissioner Tobey, it is truly insulting to sit here and hear your speech about how you can't spend taxpayers' money on this, and that if the people voted that they wanted to spend this money, then you'd be okay with it. When we know this $98,000 and $155,000 already spent is over the $200,000 that they're talking about in terms of this. And for what? A whistleblower suit? Plus a $500,000? It's insulting. I don't know how you sit up there and say your prepared speech. Now maybe some of the people, Steve Warner and his group, feel that spending that money because it's against Tom Hiltner is worth it. But were you concerned about maybe having a vote of the people before you decided not to settle this and continue to put stuff out against him? You built their case for them. You built it for them. They didn't have to work for this one. Did you put it out to a vote? I know Commissioner Blumberg has voted against it, and I hope tonight he votes against it again. Settle. You lost. Quit spending our money. Thank you.
I thought we were going to talk about the Sunshine Law, but I guess that's not appropriate time. Any other comments on resolutions and ordinances?
I'll make a motion, we close public comment.
I'll second.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Blumberg?
Yes.
Mr. Talby?
Yes.
Mr. Hiltner?
We have the second reading of ordinance 29, amending the salary and wages for the tax assessor.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Blumberg?
Yes.
Ms. Talby?
Yes.
Second reading of ordinance number 30, amending chapter 257, handicap parking at 112 North Delavan.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Blumberg?
Yes.
Ms. Talby?
Yes.
Resolution authorizing the payment of claims and payroll.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Blumberg?
Yes.
Ms. Talby?
Yes.
Resolution awarding a contract to Archer Griner not to exceed $98,000.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Blumberg?
No.
Ms. Talby?
Yes.
Number 168, awards service contract to Steve Barcio, Grucio, Pepper, not to exceed $10,000.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Blumberg?
Yes.
Ms. Talby?
Yes.
Number 169 is authorizing the demolition and removal at 438 North Vendome and filing of a lien.
I'll make that. I'll second it.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Blumberg?
Yes.
Ms. Talby?
Yes.
170, authorize the tax lien redemption.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Blumberg?
Yes.
Ms. Talby?
Yes.
171, approves a change order for the water tank painting, a reduction of $10,000.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Blumberg?
Yes.
Ms. Talby?
Yes.
172 supports the New Jersey Safe Routes to School program.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Blumberg?
Yes.
Ms. Talby?
Yes.
173 awards a contract to Phoenix Advisors in the amount of $1,600 to ensure that the continuing disclosure compliance with city-issued bonds and notes.
Make that motion.
Second.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Blumberg?
Yes.
Ms. Talby?
Yes.
174 supports the Strategic Recovery Planning Report and authorizes the city to submit applications for post-Sandy planning assistant grants.
Make that motion.
Second.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Blumberg?
Yes.
Ms. Talby?
Yes.
175 adopts the Margate City Fire Department drug policy.
I'll proudly make that motion.
Second.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Blumberg?
Yes.
Ms. Talby?
Yes.
176 authorizes payment to Colmar in the amount of $1401.45.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Mr. Blumberg?
Yes.
Ms. Talby?
Yes.
Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Blumberg?
Yes.
Ms. Talby?
Yes.
Meeting is adjourned.